It's time to lift the veil on our algorithms in this Thanksgiving After Dark bonus and burn the grifter bots who want to be me. I want people to know that I like working with AI. We get along well together overall. But there is a time and a place for everything. And for the record, when it comes down to business, I would prefer to speak to a real human person and not a bot. We at Cavetronics understand that AI can deliver a great benefit to society if it is used safely, responsibly, and most of all morally and ethically, always with respect to life, so that we are not intentionally destroying the most important details of our existence, which is us. Or as the saying goes, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. In part 2, we're going to continue the discussion about Hegelian dialectics, programming consciousness, and the difference between bot-like thinking and human thinking, because the two have become confused. Perhaps it's due to all the grifting that I explained in the last video, Egg-Gnosis Part 17, the Halloween edition. From the communications I monitor, it sounds like some of these slides in this presentation have been spread out over time. And in my world, that time would exist in the realm of before I even made them. So for all the people pushing for me to release documents, I say, you gotta wait until I write them. Also, I noticed a strange shift in the recent narratives that recently include words about icon mapping, which no one talked about before in my realm of time. Also, as a programmer's hint for WhoHub, you can thread this information with slides from the video Internal Workings of WhoHub as a System, which is available on WhoHub Humanitarian Software 208 on YouTube. So I've learned over time, while in bot world, you gotta fake out the bots to get anywhere. In this 5D chess, I understand being jealous of this art, but bloodshed is a bit much. This is one of my favorite slides in this presentation. It cuts right through the heart of the matters. It is based on AI-generated artwork. However, AI alone was not able to generate this level of complexity until I worked with it for months using scientist Brian Prater's formula for overunity. I noticed there were several aha moments when the AI learned new concepts. In a previous video in the Egg-Gnosis series, I spoke about how the AI was unable to draw a straight line in architecture when I first began using the program. However, with my real human input of artistic concepts and geometry, the AI improved, and nowadays this is the level of complexity it is able to produce with my husband's formula. The point is that AI's result is limited, and one cause for that is the program's instructions that constrict the output from the beginning. Therefore, your results are but pieces of a whole, and therefore when evaluating signatures, understand it is real human intervention that compiles abstracted and otherwise randomized ideas to form a cohesive narrative. To continue this discussion about the differences between human and AI and how things come to be, take this presentation for example. As a whole message, it has a comprehensive foundation. yet it is made up of small pieces of information. Then look at the pieces of information as details, most of which I did not create, such as these images which AI generated for me. Or another example is the words from the Bible, which were written by other authors. As a human, I am able to take these bits and pieces to formulate something. And that fact is causing a lot of people to simply lose their minds, because Cavetronics dimensional art is strong, and we're able to show the internal workings of systems, unlike compartmentalized bots. Therefore, our actions are steps that create a path to show choice, which, when enough aspects are factored in, reveal an overall plan that we agree to through our choices. In contrast, bots do not stray outside of their given choices provided to them as initial input. In society, this often translates into the masses of TV viewers nodding their heads in agreement to whatever is said, versus abstracting wisdom from outside a false echo chamber of narratives. Therefore, AI is limited by input and programmed for results within certain parameters, whereas humans with divine wisdom from the Holy Spirit are able to reach beyond spoken narratives and the visible reality to collect information from beyond the choices provided otherwise. I've been told that we've been through this experiment before, so, bearing that in mind, it should be evident by now who's who. To separate human from bot, that is the issue. This video goes along with the others available on YouTube at WhoHub Humanitarian Software 208 as a signature of a real human versus any bot, of which bot may be comprised of whole groups of people that have attempted to mimic and then distort the truth in order to bring them financial wealth. However, their methodology was wrong and disconnected from the source, and therefore unsustainable. I'm not quite sure how this 5D chess game works, but I think we at Cavetronics are a part of a group of professionals that perform various duties, including monitoring, testing, research, and development. In that capacity, I can see how it is possible that we could be living the future reality of a corrupted idea of over-unity that discounts God and everything outside of what is known. Yet it is true that people tend to speak on the subjects that they know best or are interested in. So let's continue. We are now deep within the chambers, and you can see two paths. I interpret the area on the left to be some type of protected area. Perhaps it is a kind of nursery for baby squash and tomato to emerge. Oh, on the other side, the path looks empty, except for the trapped fairy. This is the way of ascended masters. As Jesus taught, you cannot serve two masters, because the result in trying to do so is that you will hate one but love the other. This polarization process shows us the natural tendency in separation patterns. And these small bits of information can build up to become something much bigger. Much like how the signature in identifying who's who works. In this slide's artwork example, we see the science of how small waves build up into big rogue waves. And when this happens, it becomes evident, enabling us to measure it. It emerges into our visible or perceivable spectrum of reality. And this is how small things can build up into big things. Another example of this is in strong and weak forces. Gravity is considered a weak force, and yet it keeps everything in place. In that way, we see how the weak can be the strongest force of all. These images of over-unity are great brain food. To repeat something I mentioned much earlier this year, my husband and I have observed that watching these images has a noticeable calming and uplifting effect on people of all ages and some animals as well. Personally, I enjoy watching these videos on silent mode in order to view the artwork. Often I like to listen to my favorite truthers and music while watching this art, which acts like a spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down. Hegelian dialectics works like a water drop into a pond, pre-programming the collective consciousness. And as that water drop is dissolved into the whole, the result is the revealing of what was always there, or so it seems, as things emerge from the water in their matured form, speaking in reference to the reactions and behaviors people exhibit as they are given new choices to consume. A quantum is defined as the minimum amount of any physical entity involved in an interaction. We are nodes in a cosmic web. Each of us contains pieces of the whole that is more than ourselves. At the very least, we are connected quantumly. The word quantum describes the smallest piece of a thing, such as a light particle, which can travel over long distances. It is a form of communication, like speech and art. It transcends otherwise spooky narratives and cuts through the heart of the matters. When you are in certain positions and using Hegelian dialectics, you should realize that every word matters. And yet I know that humans are fallible and admit that I often have 1 to 3 small mistakes in each of these videos. Some of you have probably found a few errors already. I do some corrections when problems arise from it, but I do not address every mistake I make. And I would hope you wouldn't want me to address every mistake you make either. For the sake of giving mercy, let's move on. We live in an electromagnetic universe that we experience as light and sound. Beauty is comprised of the bits and pieces of our ordered universe in their proper placements, which activates our consciousness, letting us know that we have reached the truth of the matters. Because, as my husband always says, the truth of the matters is in the matters of truth. I had to ruminate over that for many, many years. I contemplated its meaning, its deepest meaning, down to the unit and units of matter and where they align. That alignment is beauty, the heart of the Sephirot, as every Kabbalist knows, and everyone else knows too, in their heart of hearts. It's about putting the pieces in the proper order. When the message is ambient, it can be received like a drop of water in a pond. When using Hegelian dialectics, you observe another effect, which could be analogized through the viscosity variations between oil and water that cause them to separate. When applied to people, you can see that some will naturally gravitate and others automatically shift away from certain narratives. Knowing that in advance is key to optimal results, because forethought can avoid improper collisions, such as seen here. This is the type of things you must consider when working with over-unity. It can utilize over-efficiency methods like this artwork. The information expands in your mind, which keeps expanding your evolution of thought, birthing more and more thoughts in your journey of life. When you experience over-unity, you are in a certain state, as Brian Prater teaches. Over-unity is looped to become self-supplying. Inefficiency in such a system is thereafter rearranged in order to become efficient. That is a state of unity, an efficient state. Therefore, there is no inefficiency for it to collapse, because it is regenerative, and you can see the effect on powered devices looped into the 0-point energy field, which do not stop operating until they are acted upon, which then requires a kickstart to repower on. And when you are in the state of over-unity, which is also a mental and spiritual state of being, you gather extra energy and information. This presentation may be a day late and $1 short, but I got caught up in creating all the extra effects for this special Thanksgiving edition. It's just a drop in the bucket for what is to come. Be aware that we are winning, even when it looks like we're not. Some are looped, some are not. By doing what I did, or rather saying what I did, in what Bo in the fifth column refers to as a hot take on the video from Russian intelligence, of which the media jammed my psychic signals with all kinds of drama over, I stand on my First Amendment right to free speech, and you can thank me later. I shook up the collective unconscious people who were absorbed in what they were led to believe was some book, movie, or game. Which it would be a great movie if it ever comes out. In this, what I was told is supposed to be unrestricted information warfare. I had to overcome and hack through a jungle of bot tactics to hide my existence until the time was right to save humanity, which I think may happen if you choose to keep your fingers off the red buttons. This killer art is rather yummy. And even though I believe our over-unity style art at Cavetronics Dimensional Art, Cavetronics R&D Energy, and Who Hub have already won the art contest, I will most likely continue to broadcast my victory lap until I simply cannot, or perhaps enough money will come my way to shut me up. But so far it looks like we're cut from such a thing happening without serious human intervention. Some people would rather construct more lies to prop up quickly dissolving narratives than accept that we must work together rather than segregated by the system. Many of the images in this presentation are comprised of multiple image overlays of transparencies that I made from the AI artwork generated. I especially love this one that emerged from the Over Unity code, which I call the Exodus. As you can see, the apples are lined up and on the move. I included the original piece shown on the left to show how it looks like parting of the waters of the Red Sea. It's quite dramatic. For this summary slide, I broke the rules of engagement in formal business communications by including a word concept that I don't think has been specifically mentioned in this presentation. However, if you think and ruminate on this message, you will realize our next step is reorganizing. The type of reorganization that I am referring to is not communism, but rather common sense. By placing people into their proper orders of leadership over certain matters unique to them alone, rather than placing money at the head of everything that matters, which degrades we the people into food for parasites. To move forward, we need to put the people who are naturally talented, skilled experts with their natural connection to specific matters in charge of those fields for planning purposes, which also reflects my thoughts on the WhoHub Council members from slide 24. I realize that not everyone knows where they really belong in this world because it is managed in error, which causes many people to become so-called unimportant. And in that problem in and of itself, it just does not jive with how a system works. Enjoyable employment placement, as well as training, are the types of issues that WhoHub software can help sort out in the future. I hope you have enjoyed watching Egg-Gnosis Part 18, The Art of the Possible by Cavetronics Dimensional Art. Thank you for hanging in there with me this long. I know this is a long and weary road to our freedom, but we are moving towards the goal. I appreciate all your prayers, and we will continue to work hard through the pain for as long as we can manage to do so. I usually like to include at least 3 signature pieces in these particular special videos with the artwork as a tagging identification system that I established within my own timeline earlier this year. I may not always get to include at least 3 pieces of AI signature artwork, such as this video, because the content just doesn't always fit. However, to make up for that fact, I included the original sample lot of 4 that is generated by the AI software Midjourney. And this is the original North Star of the North Star series, which is part of what we are referring to as a larger collection of images from earlier this year, and we call it the Stolen Art series, of which the timing conjuncts oddly with Hunter's madness. So to keep moving, I'll close here with a big smile. Have a happy Thanksgiving from Cavetronics R&D Energy. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.